as you all know, the Midnight Motorist minigame has been probably one of the, if not the most confusing minigame lore-wise in the FNAF series. It seems like nobody in this community can properly piece together just what Scott is trying to show us here, but I think that the answer is actually not that complicated. So today, in my first YouTube video, I'll show you my own interpretation and what I personally believe. So I'm gonna get the obvious stuff out of the way first. This funny looking mustard guy is clearly William Afton, hence the purple car, and the person sitting down watching TV is Mike. How am I so sure it's Mike? Well, for starters, in the game files, his sprite is labeled as man_sitting. Thanks for this YouTuber for pointing this out. So the person isn't Mrs. Afton, nor are they Elizabeth, and the text of the person is the same color as Mike's text in FNAF 4. Plus the color of his shirt is the same as Mike's shirt color in FNAF 4. Also, need more evidence? The person is watching TV, and the only person who has a routine of watching TV at night is Mike, as seen in sister location. Okay, so this is Will and this is Mike, but if this is the Afton household, then why the heck is it in the middle of a forest? We've all seen the Afton household in FNAF 4, and it's located in a nice neighborhood near Fredbear's family diner. Well, what if I tell you that the Afton family actually moved houses after the bite of 83? And that there actually has been blatant evidence to FNAF 4 that many people didn't notice that points to this actually being true. So okay, how did I reach the conclusion that they moved? Well, take a look at the FNAF 4 title screen. We can see a house in the distance that greatly resembles the house in Midnight Motorist, and we know that the gameplay of FNAF 4 is from Max's point of view, and that it takes place after the bite of 83. So is it a big reach to say that after the bite of 83, the Afton family moved to another house in order to escape the trauma of the bite? Alright, so now that we have established where we are, there's still some stuff that we need to explain. Mainly the identity of the runaway kid. Well, what if I tell you that this kid is actually none other than the crying child? But how could this be? We established that the Aftons moved houses after the bite of 83, and the crying child is a victim of the bite. But what if I told you that he actually survived for some time after the bite, and that this is one of the things that the minigame is trying to tell us? I think that this minigame takes place post-bite of 83, and that the runaway kid is a crying child is because of the way Mike treats him. Throughout FNAF 4, Mike does nothing but constantly torment his younger brother, until the end of the game when he finally apologizes to him after he nearly kills him. This lines up with how Mike treats him in the minigame. He tells Will to leave him alone tonight, which implies sympathy and not hate. But I know what you're thinking. We hear Flatland at the end of FNAF 4 Night 6 minigame, which implies that the crying child dies right after the bite. But I think that this one minigame takes place weeks or even months after the bite in order for this theory to work.
So, okay. This guy's Will, this is Mike, and these are the crying child's footsteps. And this whole thing takes place sometime after the bite of 83. So who do the other footsteps belong to? They are clearly animatronic footsteps, and they have 3 fingers. So people have theorized many candidates for who these footsteps belong to, from Funtime Freddy to the Twisted Ones to the Nightmares. But I believe that they belong to none other than Shadow Freddy. I say Shadow Freddy because there is no way an animatronic would be able to survive the heavy rain. But Shadow Freddy is a supernatural spirit-like entity, so I think that it's most likely him who lured the crying child away. And he has a habit of having people follow him, as we saw in the FNAF 3 minigames. But where did he lure him away to? Well, there aren't many possible places, and due to the minigame being labeled as later that night, I speculate that he lured him to Freddy's in order to show him Charlie's fate. Some say that he lured him to Junior's, but I don't think that Junior's is a Freddy's location at all. I think that it's just a bar to show William's alcoholic nature. But what about the dirt mound hidden in the middle of nowhere? Is it a twisted animatronic hidden underground? Well, no, they don't exist in the games. I think that this mound ties a small knot from sister location, which is what happened to Elizabeth's body. We know she got killed by Baby, but what happened to her body is a mystery. She couldn't have had a proper burial since that would expose William as a killer robot creator. So I think that Will buried her body in this mound of dirt. So now that I have explained everything, what exactly is the point of this minigame? Scott said that FNAF 6 is meant to tie all the loose ends of the series. So what loose ends does it tie? Well, I have 4 loose ends that I speculate have been tied here. The first one being that we get confirmation that the Aftons moved houses after the bite of 83, and thus explaining why the FNAF 4 gameplay sections have a different house layout to the FNAF 4 minigames. Secondly, we see William being a bad father and an alcoholic. Thirdly, we found out what happened to Elizabeth's body. And lastly, we find out that the crying child survived for some time after the bite. And that's it for today's theory. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I've been writing FNAF theories since early 2020 during COVID when I joined the FNAF fandom, but this is my first time making one of them into a YouTube video. And of course, this is only my own personal interpretation. It's not perfect by any means, and it has its flaws, but I wanted to contribute something to the FNAF YouTuber theorist community. And thanks for watching.